Hey, what's up everybody? This is Justin with CHEAPIES Scents. Today I've got 7 fragrances that I would consider to be 10 out of 10. Every one of these is awesome. Some of them are awesome just because they're perfect in their execution, or at least as close as humanly possible. Some of them are 10 out of 10 because for the price, they are as close to perfect as possible, and the price alone makes them mind-blowing. And so I want to ask as we get going, what would you add to this list of 10 out of 10 fragrances? And I want to ask you, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. I've got videos coming out every few days, and I hope that you'll join us for the journey. Okay, here we go. First up, I'm going to mention one that is definitely probably intended for warm weather, but it works in the winter, it works in the fall as well. But when you wear this in the spring or summer, when it starts to heat up, it's just magnificent. I'm talking about Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Forever. So the light blue fragrances, you know, they're known for citrus, just this very pleasant citrus, and then it goes into a very musky fragrance with a little bit of woods mixed in. And I don't love the dry down of the original light blue, even light blue intense, but this one, the difference is this realistic, rindy grapefruit that you get in the opening. First time I sprayed it on the hand in the Ulta, in an Ulta, I just thought, wow. I mean, it smelled so real, so photorealistic. I knew I had to pick it up. But the good thing is that grapefruit lasts, remnants of that grapefruit last all the way through the fragrance, into the mid, into the dry down, so that even the dry down of this fragrance is very much marked by that grapefruit. And for that reason, this is my favorite light blue fragrance. It is a banger, highly recommended, and that photorealism you don't often see in a designer fragrance. All right, next up, we're going to go with one that is so cheap that it's unbelievable. The performance on this one isn't great. It's like a 4 or 5 hour fragrance, but the scent profile is amazing. I'm talking, if this was a $100 fragrance that lasted 8 hours, I would not bat an eyelash. Instead, this is a $20 fragrance that the performance lacks on me, although others say they do get 8 hours out of it. I'm talking about CK1 Shock. This is a budget tobacco fragrance that's got enough of a brightness in the opening that it's probably a 3-season fragrance minus summer, but it's also got a mesmerizing sweet spiciness and a wonderful tobacco. It is absolutely awesome. I've heard the opening of this fragrance compared to like a Monster energy drink, and I can certainly see where they're coming from, and maybe that's why they put the neon letters on the front to kind of remind you of like a Monster energy drink. That is kind of what the opening smells like. But then very soon, you're going to get a cardamom, a very distinct cardamom, that if you go to Fragrantica, some people will say that this fragrance reminds them most of La Nuit de l'Homme. Now, I don't really jive with that. You can certainly pick out the cardamom in this that matches the cardamom in La Nuit de l'Homme. They don't smell alike though, but that same sweet, spicy, sexy, beautiful cardamom you're going to get right here. And some of the remnant of that citrus in the opening, that just sweet fruitiness in the opening is going to mix with that cardamom and a tobacco note that is just not overly heavy. It's not a green tobacco leaf, but it's slightly more on the fresher side. And mixing with those sweet, spicy notes, that tobacco is absolutely magical. I would love it if they would make an EDP or a Parfum or something like that of this fragrance. I would buy it in a second. Or let me know in the comments, is there a designer or niche fragrance that's 90% similar to this, and I'll buy it next week, because I absolutely love CK Shock. I know I'm not the only one. $20 at the rack stores all day long. It's always at Burlington. It's always at most of them that have a good selection. It is an absolutely fantastic fragrance. All right, next up, we're going to go with one. These first 3 have had a real citric quality. This is one that is known for citrus and sweet fruits and some other things. This is actually the first flanker, I think, that MANCERA has ever done. I could be wrong. I've only been following them for a couple years. But this is MANCERA Intense CEDRAT BOISE. Now, the original CEDRAT BOISE, I absolutely love it, but the performance was always mysterious to me. I think I was probably going nose blind to it, but after 3-4 hours, I just couldn't smell it. This one has remedied that somewhat. It's probably, you know, after 6-7 hours, I probably don't smell it. Some people say they get 12-14 hours. I have not experienced it on my skin as absolutely nuclear. And since the original was similar, it's probably a skin chemistry thing on me. Although sometimes fragrances, you know, months later, the performance will be double or triple what it has been. And I'm hoping that's the deal with this one. It's some kind of anosmia or something like that. But still, for 6 or 7 hours, you're going to get the most beautiful, bright, fruity opening that is magical. It's like sunshine in a bottle. And it's not only the opening, though. That's going to last you for the life of the fragrance. My son wore this to my wife's birthday party a month or so ago. And for the whole 5 hours we were there, as I was walking around, this is, you know, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000 square feet. And as I'm walking around, I would cross his sillage for hours and just be like, oh, I love the smell of that. The difference with this one is the original has a little leather. This one's got a little more leather, and it's got some oud. And so you've got that wonderful, tangy, zingy, sweet, fruity, citric quality with a little leather and a little oud that ground it a little bit. Ross from TLTG says CEDRAT BOISE, and this one included is sort of like a beautiful bright fruit basket in a wicker basket. And I think that's true, but I think it's even more true of the Intense. Highly, highly recommended. It's a beautiful fragrance. And if you keep your eye out, you can get it for $100, which is a steal for a niche fragrance of that quality. All right, next up, we're going to go with one that's a blue fragrance. It's not even my favorite blue fragrance, but I can appreciate it for the quality, for the price point, for what it does, for the performance. This is a Parfum by MISSONI, MISSONI Parfum, and it is a blue fragrance in the style of Bleu de Chanel. And it really is going to remind you a lot of Bleu de Chanel. So that kind of citrus ginger opening, that soapy freshness, the birch that is in this one is going to remind you of the incense in Bleu de Chanel. And so you get a super clean, fresh fragrance that's a blue fragrance all the way through the fragrance profile. It's a long-lasting, fresh, clean, somewhat soapy blue fragrance. And if you love Bleu de Chanel, you'll really love this one. And the catch is 100 ml bottle of this you can get for around $40. So about a third of what you pay for the Chanel. And I think this is a very adequate replacement for Bleu de Chanel EDT. Highly recommend that one. It's 10 out of 10. And the next one I'll go with, this is one that came from a line that's got a bunch of bangers. Some people hate on it because it's been so popular, but I love all of them. I've got all of them except for the Parfum. And this one is probably my favorite, although I like the EDT for its own reasons. This is Versace Eros EDP. This is a little more grown up than the EDT. You've got a mint and candied apple in the opening. You've got a wonderful vanilla that's going to come out in the really right from the opening. You get vanilla right off of the atomizer. You've also got some lavender, which mixes with that mint, you know, a little bit of that aromatic quality. The mint lavender aromatic quality of this one is probably doubled from the Eros EDT, which means it overshadows the sweetness a little bit. So if you're 41 like me, this is probably a more appropriate version of Eros. It's not quite as sweet. It's a little more aromatic. I think that makes it more versatile. To me, this is a year-round fragrance. But I still do love the EDT, and I'll wear it once a month or so. I love the sweetness. I love the loudness. You can't go wrong with either of them or the Parfum, which is just significantly more expensive, and they took out that mint apple blast that you get that to me makes Eros what it is. I heard Flame is going away soon, which is heartbreaking, but you can't go wrong with Eros EDP. It is a 10 out of 10 fragrance. All right, just two more. This next one I got for $36, and I've seen it for less than $40 all over. And to me, that is amazing because this could be a niche fragrance or a $100 designer all day long, and I would not bat an eye. This is Dunhill Icon, the original. You get this magical, fizzy, grape soda-like opening. It is so good. It's, again, a little three-dimensional. I've been saying that a lot lately because I've been featuring some of the fragrances that give that very kind of three-dimensional, almost physical property to their sillage. And this is one of those that the fizzy kind of grape soda opening, that you're going to get remnants of that through the whole fragrance, but especially for the first few hours. It is just, it's magical. It's mesmerizing. It's a little mysterious. I love it. But there is some woods and some leather and a touch of oud, I believe, that gives a little darkness through the heart of that. You know, I sometimes picture fragrances the way I smell them as kind of a color. And this one, I see that sort of purple from the grape and that dark sort of brown, black darkness from the woods and the leather coming through, and I absolutely love it. It's unique. It's fairly long lasting, about a 7-hour fragrance on me, maybe a little longer, maybe a little less, depending on the situation. But you cannot go wrong with Dunhill Icon. I put it off for a long time because it didn't sound that interesting. But since I've got it, to me, this is one of my top 3 favorite spring fragrances. I absolutely recommend this one. It's a 10 out of 10 for $36. You can't get any better than that. All right, the next one I'm going to mention, this is kind of like the ultimate signature scent. You can wear it all year round. It's got very good performance, 10 plus hours. It's office appropriate. You can wear it very casual. You can dress it up. It is awesome. And it, for a citrus fragrance, is one of the longest lasting citrus fragrances imaginable. This is Terre Hermes, just the original, the EDT. What you're going to get with this one is a very earthy orange fragrance. It is just a bright, tart orange that you're going to get that has a vetiver that's not kind of a green, grassy vetiver. It's a little more of like an earthy, almost dirty vetiver, mixing with that orange, that tart, almost sour orange that makes this one so wonderful. You know, I can't say unique anymore because I think a lot of people have worn this, and there's other fragrances that have mimicked it, and it's something that you might be familiar with, but it is unique in that before they made this, nobody else was doing something like this, and it is a banger. It's beautiful. It's just a wonderful fragrance you could wear every day, or signature scent, and it's one I'd highly recommend. It is 10 out of 10. And so these 7 have been my list, but what would be your list? What are some of your 10 out of 10 fragrances? And let me know down in the comments, and please subscribe to my channel. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one. I'm Justin. This has been Sillage Scents. Thanks.